Thank you for joining us today for today's webinar on traveling with technology. This is a continuation of our data security training for customers. The call is going to be about 20 minutes long. We're trying to keep these quick so you can get what you need out of data security and get back to work quickly. If you haven't already done so, please go to www.ecar.com, click on What's New, and you can view the presentation and follow along with us. For call clarity, all our training is listen only. We'd like it to be more interactive, but this is just to cut down on ambient noise. If somebody needs to leave the call for a few minutes, put this call on hold. We won't all hear the music if somebody's on a cell phone. If you have any questions during the call, you can just email info@ecar.com. We'll try to take them or address them in the materials, or we'll follow up with you afterwards. Also, anytime call 978-692-4200 for help. So our workshop mission, this workshop, all the workshops we do, we want to get you more from the technology you already have, introduce you to new technologies you need to know about, and of course help you make your data secure. So some of the topics we're going to be covering today on traveling with technology is how do you stay secure on public networks. So if you're traveling for business this summer, for leisure, whatever it is, your technology is going to move around with you. And in fact, even if you're not specifically traveling, with laptops, portable devices, your stuff's moving around all the time. How do you stay secure on public networks? When is it smart to encrypt your portable data, and when is it required by law? What do you do if your laptop, tablet, or smartphone's lost or stolen? How can you keep your mobile data costs from ballooning when you travel? And what happens when your electronics get too hot? So going mobile. Today, years back, it was just about an employee goes to work, there's a PC at the desktop, a computer, monitor, mouse. It's all there now. Everything's gone mobile. People are reading their mail on their smartphones, surfing the web, running applications on their smartphones, iPads, laptops, you name it. Also portable hard drives, portable thumb drives. Your data is everywhere. So the really core thing to think about in any sort of analysis or planning for security is there's a constant trade-off between security and convenience. And this is something you need to take into account all the time, because the things that make things more convenient for us tend to risk some of our security. You're going to have to make a judgment on what your limits are. Also regulations. All businesses in Massachusetts are governed by the Mass Data Security Law. And in addition, your industry may have specific requirements, HIPAA for healthcare, etc. Another thing to think about is, according to the U.S. Department of Homeland Security, 31% of cyber attacks are directed at businesses with less than 250 employees. A lot of times, excuse me, we read the headlines. Target's breached, Home Depot's breached, the federal government just had a recent breach. People tend to think, because they read the headlines, this is about big business, it's enterprise, those are the targets. In reality, there's automated tools for hackers, there's opportunistic hackers. So this is an eye-opening statistic. If you're small, don't think you're immune from all the problems that are occurring. It's about a third of all these attacks are going after small businesses. Another important thing to think about is, where is your company information? What data is entering and leaving your network every single day? What goes home with you when your employees throw a laptop in their computer bag? What company data is traveling with them? When they're reading email on their smartphones, what company data is traveling all over the place? And data losses, if you look at how you can lose data, there's a whole bunch of different ways. Lost or stolen laptops. There was a very high profile breach maybe 2 years ago. Blue Cross Blue Shield, a laptop was left in the back of a car, stolen in Chicago. This laptop contained an Excel spreadsheet of the entire Blue Cross referral network. It included personal information on just about every doctor in the country. That laptop was not encrypted. There was no reason it couldn't be encrypted, but it wasn't. Big problem. Coca-Cola had a similar type of breach. 74,000 records lost for thousands of former and current employees. So laptops retain a very high value, about 50% of their value on the black market. So when you see a laptop used, used laptop for sale on eBay or somewhere, there's a chance that's a stolen laptop. So really keep your eye on your technology. Viruses, malware, ransomware attacks are up 115% last year. There's hackers and also device damage to think about. So lots of different things basically that can go wrong. So security with public Wi-Fi. A lot of times you're out, you're at the airport or you're in a store, someplace, restaurant, you may connect to the Wi-Fi. Now something to remember about technology, the router that connects you to the outside world has a firewall to protect you from the outside world. But whenever you're on a local network, you're basically trusting everyone that's there unless you use precautions. So when you first connect to a public network, you might have seen as it pops up, oh, is this a public, a work, a home, or public network? Your choice here makes a difference. Okay, you might think, oh, I don't know, I'll just click one. Don't. When you're on a public network, look for the park bench and pick public, because what that's going to do is automatically go into your Windows operating system and set several security settings for you. So you don't have to go in one by one and do that. It's turning off network discovery. You can go in and look at what these settings are so you can see them. Turning off file and printer sharing. And here's a summary of what they are. So network discovery, think about this, when you're in your work network and you're trying to collaborate, and you're trying to share, and you trust the people in your environment, network discovery, so for example, you can see the other computers that are on, or you want to see your files, or share printers with other people, sharing public folders, etc. All the things that you do when you're in a secure work network. You basically want to shut those off when you're on a public network. So if you pick that public icon when you first join that network, this is going to make those settings for you. Other options when you're traveling, a lot of times people will set up a VPN, that's a virtual private network. That's a way of securely, it's a secure tunnel of communication between your system and another network. That's a way of staying secure. You can also use things like log me in with SSL encryption to protect you to get into another network. When you're browsing, look for SSL encryption, HTTPS, that S means it's encrypted. The other thing you could do is just simply turn off the Wi-Fi. You might need to be on your laptop to maybe work on a document, work on a spreadsheet. So to do that, if you hit the Windows button, which is that flag with the 4 pieces, and the X button, you'll see a bunch of options to turn stuff on and off, one of which is to turn your wireless off. And that's a great strategy. That just isolates you from the network, and you can be safe. So the thing is, when you're on that network, it's not that everybody can just look at your laptop and see everything on it, but a sophisticated person could maybe get through. A sophisticated person could be monitoring the traffic to the router, for example. So if you're not using that SSL encryption, they could be monitoring that. You don't know who set up that router and what they're logging and tracking. They could be doing key logging. You don't know. But if you have shares and stuff, people can look up network discovery, see that your system is there. People could poke around, and depending on how you may have things set up, if you have, for example, shares with no passwords, etc., you just want to shut off all the things that you use effectively to collaborate in your office. And turning off the wireless, that's a great way to do it when you don't actually need to be on the web. All right, so the next topic is, when is it smart to encrypt your portable data and when is it required by law? We are kind of flying through a bunch of topics. We try to keep this training to 20 minutes so people can get what they need, move on. We can get you a copy of the slides after so you can view them on your own, review them at a team meeting. But next topic is encryption. So encryption of portable devices is actually required by the Massachusetts data security law. So that means you need to encrypt all personal information stored on laptops and other portable devices. Personal information is first name or initial plus last name with any identifying number, Social Security, financial account number, credit card number, driver's license number, etc. That's required by law that you keep that information encrypted. Every business in Massachusetts is subject to that. In terms of encryption of portable devices, Beyond that, even if you don't have specific information that's covered by that law or HIPAA regulations for protected health information, you also need to be thinking about, for example, what would happen if one of your salespeople lost a laptop that had your entire customer base records on it. Stuff is leaving your office every single day. What are they storing on those devices? What would you do if you lost all that data? So it's not just about what's protected by regulations. It's what happens when somebody else gets access to all your stuff. So a real important thing to remember here, we recommend that all laptops have full disk encryption. And a really important thing to remember here is that the password that you use to log into Windows, so you pull up Windows, it shows your name, you log in, that's a Windows password that's easily bypassed, that can be reset, you can take out the hard drive, there's lots and lots of ways to get around that, it's pretty easy. Encryption is a totally different standard. Encryption means everything's scrambled. Now in that case it means that no one can get it without the passphrase, and the important thing to remember there is absolutely never forget your encryption key. About once a year we get a call on this, somebody doesn't know an encryption key, it's somebody reaches out to Ikaru for help. There is no way around it. It really is secure. There's no back door. We do recommend PGP is the leading commercially available product. TrueCrypt is a great open source product. Self-encrypting drives, you have newer systems, a lot of solid-state drives come with self-encrypting software, so there's lots of different options that you can use. All right, what do you do if your laptop is lost, stolen? We would recommend immediately just changing all your online passwords, change your banking, credit, because a lot of times passwords are saved when you pull up. Again, convenience versus security. You pull up a web page, it remembers your username, and a lot of times it remembers your password. Change all your passwords if you were to lose one of your systems. Change your email password, so your phone is not going to be getting your mail. File a police report, and really every company should have a company policy around what data can employees have on their systems, what are the requirements, etc. Really, a lot of the preparation is before anything happens. Keep an inventory of what you have, serial numbers, those are known as service tags on Dell. Again, the full disk encryption. If you were to lose a laptop with full disk encryption, basically you lose the value of whatever that laptop is worth. You know, maybe it's brand new, maybe it's old. You just lose that value. If it's not encrypted, you lose all your information. Make sure all your data is backed up. The number one thing that's required to protect you in the event of any sort of data catastrophe is your backup. Your backup is going to save you or not. Make sure it's a monitored and automatic backup. We want to see backups to the cloud. We want to see them encrypted. The other thing you might think about is different products like LoJack for laptops. So you can basically they can track kind of like a Find My iPhone kind of feature on your phone. With smartphones, with Microsoft Exchange Mail, your phone can be deleted and locked remotely. With Pop Mail, you want to plan ahead. Do you really want to keep all your mail, or do you just want to keep your new mail on your phone? The other thing is if you have a lot of mobile workers, you want to think about possibly mobile device management. And what this is, just like when we do managed service for desktops and servers, laptops, etc. in the office, where we're monitoring security patch updates, antivirus updates, and we're actively monitoring that for you all the time. There's also mobile device management. So you might have a company policy that says everybody needs to have a PIN lock on their phone. And everyone tells you, yes, oh yeah, sure, I have that in place. In reality, maybe they do, maybe they don't. With mobile device management, you can enforce all those rules. You can do remote wipes of systems. So that's something to think about if you're managing multiple workers. How do you keep mobile data costs from ballooning when you travel? Call your provider. Most important thing is call your provider, Verizon, T-Mobile, whoever, to make sure you clearly understand the plan you have and look for options. You can maybe temporarily change your plan to an international plan if you're traveling out of the country. That includes Canada. Turning off data roaming. You don't need to be getting your data all the time. You can be using wireless networks when you're in the hotel or other places. Again, with precautions, but you don't want that data roaming all the time. You don't need to be downloading your email all day long when you're not even reading it. Your iPhone, this is just a screenshot of an iPhone. There's all these settings in there. So I would say start with calling your provider, knowing clearly what your plan is, what your options are, and then also going through what should get shut off. You don't need data roaming and voice roaming necessarily. All right, and iPhone security, the pin lock, different if you have a different kind of smartphone, themes and variations. You can set a pin, every phone should have a pin lock. Also get to know, find your iPhone. Keep your operating system updated. This is true across the board for all technology. We find people right now, Windows Server 2003 is getting retired. That's over 10 years old, and we have people asking us, oh, well, it's still working. You're way behind on security settings. In the case of Server 2003, Microsoft ends support in a couple of weeks. When you look at the iPhones, the older versions don't have the encryption with the pin lock. So you're missing out on security features if you're not keeping up with your technology. Backup services, you may also want to think about, it may be obvious, okay, I'm getting email on my phone, I'm making phone calls, but you may also look at what else is happening, say on your laptop, elsewhere, that is kind of happening in the backup, that in the background that you might want to pause, like a backup or a file syncing. That's we use file syncing to share and collaborate on files. Here, you want to make sure you're not uploading and downloading big files that you don't need to at that moment. Okay, and then wrapping up, we're trying to keep these to 20 minutes, so we're going kind of fast. What happens when your electronics get too hot? So in a car, this is worth a reminder. Hopefully most people know this, but on a hot day when the sun's blasting into your car, it might be 80 degrees outside. That's a hot summer day. In your car, it could be 123 to 140 degrees. Very, very hot. So iPhones and iPads have operating temperature ranges, 32 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and safe storage range of only up to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. So in your car, you may well exceed that. This is true for all electronics. They all have an operating range, slightly different, but they're all kind of the same because basically they're all made out of the same stuff. So hard drives generally have operating ranges up to about 122 degrees Fahrenheit. Digital cameras, 120. So they're all kind of in that ballpark. Try to let your electronics get back to room temperature before you use them. Try not to leave any electronics in the car or direct sunlight. And just an FYI, the opposite of this is true too in winter. You don't want stuff to get too cold. When your system freezes in your trunk, you're going to have to let it get back to room temperature in the winter as well. So it's just about staying within that operating and storage range. All right, so to summarize, again, trying to wrap up on time here, be careful on public networks. When you're connecting, at Hikaru, we love technology, we love thinking about it, talking about it. You may not be all that into it, but do pay attention to those settings. When you connect to a network, it's going to ask you, is this a public, a home, or a work network? Pick public when it's public. It is updating your settings in the background, and it's very important. Encrypt your portable devices. If your laptop is lost and it's not encrypted, it's a nightmare. If it's lost and it's encrypted, nobody can get your stuff. You can just get a new laptop. Of course, you got to have that backup to rescue you. Just common sense, protect yourself from theft. Don't leave your stuff lying around. Be careful at the airport. Don't let your mobile data roam. And find a way, securely accessing your data if you're using a VPN, etc. Also, we talked about storage and safe temperature ranges. So again, key thing is prepare in advance. Think about your company policies. Think about all the data that leaves your building every day. Think about, how do you know? Maybe you've told employees you have to have a PIN lock on your phone. Are they doing it or not? Really find that out. Okay, more questions. We love hearing from you. Send questions. We really use a lot of these questions for our blog posts. Call us anytime if you think of something later on, info@ecara.com, or call us 978-692-4200. Please visit our blog. You can get training anytime you want on our blog. And then also we're online in a number of different places, our website. We're on Twitter. We post technology news that's relevant for SMBs on Twitter and some other stuff about technology. Ecara, we have our blog. Get training there anytime. We have a Facebook page. Also connect on LinkedIn if you're active on LinkedIn. A lot of different ways to get information. And with that, we're at 20 minutes. So I'm going to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for joining us today. And we look forward to talking to you again next month. Thank you.